Perennial plants survive for 3 or more years and add lasting ornamental value to yards and gardens. And those for pollinators feed bees, butterflies, and hummingbirds, adding even more value to home gardens.
Hi, I'm Jessie Keith, horticulturist of Sungrow Horticulture, and I am here to talk about planting perennials today. And I have chosen a suite of amazing perennial flowers that are all pollinator flowers. They're all things that attract butterflies and bees and even hummingbirds. And I've created a new garden that I'm going to plant them in. But I want to talk about choosing perennials, planting perennials, so you have a really healthy, beautiful perennial garden. And the first thing that I do when I choose a perennial is I make sure that it's a really healthy plant with great root system that's got a lot of good, healthy looking top growth. I also make sure that I understand that they're perennials that will be hardy in my zone or where I live. And all the perennials I've chosen are hardy in my zone, which is zone 7. Also, I've chosen perennials in different sizes. These perennials are a little slower growing, so I chose nice, big, healthy specimens. Whereas this is a fireball Beebalm that is loved by hummingbirds. And this little guy grows really quickly and will be a large plant, large blooming plant by mid to late summer. Right now it's in mid-May. So you can also choose different sizes, based on growth, and that'll save you a little bit of money. I also chose plants that grow to different heights.
I color coordinated my perennial flowers and made sure they attract different pollinators. My flower picks include cutleaf coneflower, a tall golden coneflower that attracts bees and butterflies in late summer. It even has seed heads that feed winter songbirds. Tall phlox, with colorful summer blooms that lure lots of butterflies. Joe Pieweed, a tall late summer perennial with fluffy purplish flowers visited by bees and butterflies. Brown-eyed Susan, a bee and butterfly magnet that bears gold and russet red flowers in late summer. Scarlet Beebalm, with its bright summer flowers that are loved by hummingbirds. An ornamental oregano, which draws lots of bees and butterflies with its pretty purplish summer blooms. Finally, I chose Goldenrod, one of the best late season flowers for bees and migrating butterflies.
So I've already planted a few perennials in this bed I prepared last year. But the perennials that I purchased for this year, I've already placed out according to size, with smaller perennials, and like I said, this one gets to about 2.5, 3 feet. This one is comparable size, and these as well, towards the front, and the much taller perennials towards the back. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to amend the soil with Black Gold Garden Compost Blend to make sure they get off to a really great start. This compost blend is OMRI listed for organic gardening, so I can feel confident that it's a good product for my pollinator garden. And then I'm also going to add a good outdoor planting fertilizer for my garden flowers to make sure they really grow well. And so what I'm going to do is start digging holes for these and planting them in. Okay, so I've dug the first hole for my perennial. This is a solar Cascade Goldenrod that's going to bloom in the fall and be really, really great for bees and butterflies. And so one of the things I do when I dig my hole is I make sure that my pot will fit into it just to the point where the soil line of the pot meets the soil line of my garden. And so then, before I plant this, I'm going to add a few handfuls of Black Gold Garden Compost Blend. Mix that into the backfill too. And fortunately, I have really rich soil, but if you have poor garden soil, you would definitely want to add more. And then, before I plant, I'm going to add my good amount of my slow release flower fertilizer. and that will feed it all summer long. And then I'm ready to plant. Now, one of the things I look for too when I'm choosing a perennial is generally if you have really healthy top growth, and often I use that little hole in the bottom to punch it through, you have a good healthy root system. Now, these roots are a little too intertwined, and it's called being pot bound. So one of the things I'll want to do before I plant this is loosen those up a little bit to give them a little more freedom to grow. And that will help your plant grow better and reach its roots out into the soil a little faster and a little better. So once I've got those kind of loosened a little bit, and you can see the ones that were really all mixed up and tied together are now a little bit loosened, I'll set my perennial in here and then backfill until it's all level. Make sure all those pockets are filled in. It's all level. And as a final step, I'm going to add some additional mulch to make sure I'm not wrangling with weeds all summer long. So I'm going to plant the rest of these perennials. One of the things that I didn't mention is that I also spaced my perennials so they would have enough room to grow, but also so there wouldn't be big gaps in my perennial border. I love to see big, healthy perennial gardens that just are lush and don't have big holes in them. So all of these plants, as I have them spaced out, should grow together and look like one unified, beautiful garden. So be sure you understand the width of your plants before you plant them in the ground. And I'll plant the rest. So I've got my garden all planted up. It's ready. By midsummer, late summer, it's going to be absolutely spectacular. One thing I wanted to point out is this is an amazing giant Rudbeckia coneflower or black-eyed Susan called Autumn Sun. But I caged it because this gets to a whopping 6 to 7 feet. Behind me, I also have Joe Pye weed. They also are a form that becomes very, very tall, so my back border is going to be really beautiful and tall, full of pollinator plants. Then I planted my mini pearl phlox here, some coneflowers along the front, my beautiful goldenrod, and at the very end, I don't know if you can see it, a flowering oregano. These are all great plants for pollinators. So this garden's ready to go, and I'm looking forward to seeing all the great pollinators that visit it. So happy gardening.